Testing, testing. Let's see, can you hear me? Can you all hear me? Give me a little feedback. Let me know if you can hear me, please. See, can you hear me? Can you all hear me? All right. Hopefully you all can hear me. Can you all let me know if you can hear me before I continue? I don't want to keep going and then find out that you hadn't heard a word I said. Well, obviously. Okay, I got it. Just gonna give a few more minutes um, before we get started, and it's um, uh-oh. But in any case, this is 5 days. We'll be dealing with it, God willing, and there's a lot to unpack here. If you have not seen the video of Nick Cannon's interview with the Rabbi Abraham Cooper, uh, that has really been unveiling a lot. It's one thing to tell on somebody, and then it's another thing for them to tell on themselves. Um, and so, in that, if you watch the full interview, you'll see that there were some things that even the rabbi could be pointed out or shown, had kind of told on himself and even those who are part of the Zionist Jewish community. Um, but it's a lot in that. So in 5 days, we're not going to even try to cover that whole thing tonight, but we will deal with some of it. And I know it's early for some, depending on where you're at. It's 6 p.m. Central right now. It's 4 p.m. I don't know, West Coast, the East Coast, 7 p.m. Um, and so that you can go back and watch it later if you're not catching it live. It's fine, but we will be bringing on some guests uh, in the next 5 days that I think will help us to kind of understand and see this thing a little better. But I do want to start out by saying, hey, mask up. All right. I just want to reiterate that, with everything that's going on right now in terms of COVID-19, with the coronavirus, with the talk of vaccine, with all the conversation that's happening. It's man, you can't. If you're trying to ignore it, you shouldn't. Let me say that. Don't try to ignore this. Don't try to pretend like it's up to somebody else to figure it out or sort it all out for you. Don't do that. But we're not going to be dealing with, this is not another COVID-19 coronavirus conversation, but it certainly is something that we do want everybody to remember. But I do just want to point out and show you the N95 mask. If you can see, I'll try to, you see that as the N95, right? So they're said to be a little bit better in terms of filtering out the bad air in when we're breathing, so when we're outside. So you do have the option of getting them. These we do have available, and we'll post that information. It's in some previous posts, but we'll go back and do that tonight. That's not what we're dealing with, but nevertheless, we do have them available. We want to get to the Rabbi Cooper, who is one of a part of the leadership of the ADL, which is the Anti-Defamation League. And the ADL has a history of a number of things, and they are said to be, the watchdog or the anti-Semitic police, of that, those who are supposed to be protecting the imagery of the Jewish community. And however, we can, we can do one better than that. I'll do something as simple as go to their website. And this is something I wasn't prepared to do, but I'm going to do it. Just to give it to you from their point of view. Let me say that. So that way there is no misunderstanding about how they define themselves. Okay? I want to give you that really quickly, because what it is, it's a good backdrop for what we will be discussing. And so their website is adl.org.org. And so according to their mission, it says our mission, this is directly from the ADL website now, to stop the defamation of the Jewish people and to secure justice and fair treatment to all. And that's how it begins. Now, anybody who's in their right mind, anybody who wants to be fair, should not, take issue with that of someone who wants to stop the defamation of any people or of anyone, and to secure justice and fair treatment to all. The harsh reality is that does not define the activity fully of the ADL in terms of its history. And so even you go on their website and you can see some of this yourself. But also on their website, the ADL takes pride in showing their involvement in helping to train police departments and helping to train the not military, but in fact, the way that they put it is federal, state, and local law enforcement. Okay, and it's all on the website. So don't quote me exactly what I'm saying. Just go to the website and find out for yourself, and you can read it yourself. It's all there. But it makes me wonder, as a black man in America, it makes me wonder that any city I go to, any city that I find my people in, any city I find another black man in America, and ask him about his experience with local law enforcement, and we never have had to meet ever in our lives, but many of us can share the same stories, and they'll sound very similar. We'll have stories. Some will be worse than others, but the activity won't be that far off from being different. And so one of the similarities or common threads that you can find, according to the ADL website, not me, and if I can read and understand correctly, saying that their involvement or their helping to train those could explain, it possibly could explain some of what we're getting. Now, Rabbi Cooper, because I don't want to deal with the ADL. That's not even what this is about. I don't even want to necessarily deal with that. What I want to deal with more is what we saw in terms of that interview with Nick Cannon and Rabbi Abraham Cooper versus what has been presented in the media versus what we are calling news, right? It's funny, they say news, and first three letters of news is new, but you turn it on every night and it's the same old thing. So it ain't nothing new, right? And then you have what's called good news and bad news, and it's very hard to watch and depressing most nights because it's generally bad news for people in my community when you turn it on, as if that's the only thing that's happening in our community. But it's a reinforcement of a negative lifestyle. Well, Islam, Brother James. But so in any case, in listening to that interview and Rabbi Cooper, there are a couple things that stand out, and so we wanna unpack these things. And he was supposed to be there, someone who says that he's representing the ADL and possibly some of those who in the Jewish community who were offended by statements that Nick Cannon made, statements that Professor Griff made. And so kind of we really didn't really know what to expect in this interview until you start playing it. And somewhere around the first 6 or 7 sentences, what comes out of his mouth is, it's Farrakhan. Farrakhan again. And, it's kind of like, for those of us who are Muslims, those of us who may be vegetarian, those of us who may be, vegan or whatever the case, when you got friends and family that aren't, and, when it's like, oh, wait, now you're doing it too? Now you're one of those people too? They, your friends and your family, if you're close, they kind of start taking jabs at you, and then they'll laugh and they'll joke. And, 10 years later, you're at the family function and Cousin Pete is still trying to get you with the, oh, that's a ham sandwich joke. It's like, Cousin Pete, it's played already, man. How many times, we're going to say it? It really wasn't funny the first time, but it's like, okay, Cousin Pete, that's your punchline every time. So it's kind of like with this, it's Farrakhan again with his anti-Semitic rhetoric. It's like, yo, the punchline is dead already. It's old. Stop it. It's like, man, how do you even find interest in that conversation anymore? Even if you believe it, it's almost like, damn, you really still want to sit there and hear that again? What could possibly motivate you to even engage into the conversation? And if you have enough good sense and will and desire, you can actually go and find whatever the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has been accused of, be it right or wrong. Almost everything that you will find that is in the public eye that he has been accused of or given credit for, you can find it already in public record, okay? And you can find out for yourself. It's very interesting that prior to this happening, my family and I, we were watching an old interview, and I wish I could remember the journalist's name. It just slips me right now. This is an older Caucasian woman, and they're dealing with the campaign with Jesse Jackson. They were dealing with the Jewish onslaught and their campaign against the minister, saying, oh, he said Judaism is a gutter religion, and on and on and on. And in this one interview, the minister, at least 3 times that I remember counting, corrected her. And in the correction, what she repeated back to him was her original statement, as if he didn't say anything. So it was like, I'm going to discredit whatever just came out of your mouth, and I'm going to repeat what you said. It's kind of like if somebody says, hey, with the $10 you have, this is what I want you to do. And you tell them, I don't have $10, I only have 2. And they say, okay, so with the $10 you have, this is what I want you to do. And you tell them again, I don't have $10. I said that to you. I only have $2. Okay, so with the $10 you got, that's what it's like for many of us. It's like, damn, how many times do you have to say this? And so at some point in time, you begin to show yourself that you're really not interested in the truth, that you're really not interested in promoting truth. What you are interested in is promoting a lie for whatever gain you think you will get out of it. If somebody's paying you, or if it's for your reputation, or whatever the case, you're going to continue to push this thing. And that's what has been continuing to happen, right? So in that interview, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said to her, he says, if you go back and you play that again, she said it's unedited. We didn't cut and paste. We didn't splice. We didn't do anything. The stuff that they would do in television. She said, we're not going to do any of that. He says, if you just play it exactly as I said, don't read your closed captioning, because see, that's where they get us at. What they put on the screen versus what we're hearing is where they were getting us at. And what they kept putting on the screen was gutter religion, gutter religion, gutter religion. That was on the screen. But when I stopped looking at the screen and I listened closely, I closed my eyes. I told my wife, I said, close your eyes and just listen. Don't say anything. Close your eyes. Just listen. And when we listened, I put it next to my daughter's ear and I said, listen. And we said, you know, it sounded like it could be gutter religion. I said, play it again, because I had already listened to it 3 times. I said, play it again and listen again. Now, we're talking about an ear. We've heard the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan speak live. We've all heard him live. We've been present with him physically in his presence. I've met with him personally in his presence. For some who know, we've worked in his home. And we understand his voice. We can recognize his voice when we hear it. And in listening to that tape, and it was not the best in terms of quality, but in listening to that tape, I could hear the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan say, your dirty religion. But that's not what they were doing. They kept putting gutter on the screen. So those of us walked away from that saying, well, say gutter religion, say gutter religion. It is not what he said at all. Go back and I'll hopefully I'll be able to find, it was on YouTube, and hopefully I can find a link and I can go back and post that link on there so you can watch the whole interview. And so many different journalists. He did it on Donahue. So many of them. They tried to bring that and say, they told the lie and said that, see, he said Judaism was a gutter religion. There were 2 lies in that statement. All right, there were 2. One, he never said that about Judaism whatsoever. Let's start with that. Any Muslim, and I don't care what school of thought that you have, if you say that you are a Muslim and that you believe in the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad, may Allah's peace be upon him, of 1400 years ago, and you accept that, you cannot say that Judaism itself, which we're referring to the teachings of Abraham and Moses, you cannot call it a gutter religion. You cannot do that and say you are a Muslim. In the same statement, or in the same state of mind, let me say, a Muslim cannot say that you do not believe in the true teachings of Jesus. You cannot do that and say you are a Muslim. That is against Islam. Now, let's get back to the statement, the 2 lies that they said, that they gave in the one sentence. He called Judaism a gutter religion. 2 lies in that. He never said that about Judaism, first of all. He never spoke about the religion of Judaism. That was not in the statement. But what he was referring to was the state of Israel, which is ran by those who say they are Jewish. Now, we can match up what is considered the religion of Judaism, and we can put that side by side with the practices of those who say they are Jews, who run the country of Israel, and they do not match up. And that is not a lie. They do not match up. This they know. You go read it yourself. Oftentimes, and in the interview, you'll even hear Rabbi Cooper give a he tried to correct Nick Cannon in something he said, but he inserted in his point of view the Talmud, which is a book that was it is a collection of written materials that is said to have been written by rabbis. Okay, not from Abraham, not from Moses, but those who say that they have studied, and it has become a way of life for the Jewish, for those who accept it as truth and claim to be Jewish in certain Jewish communities. If I understand correctly, now I could be wrong, someone will have to correct me, but I have been told by members of the Hebrew Israelite community that the Talmud is not something that that they hold and equal up to the what we may call the Old Testament or the Torah, right? That was the understanding I was given. However, they do not say the exact same thing. So my point is that if they're using something in the Talmud, for example, to live your life and totally do away with the scriptures of Abraham and the scriptures of the prophet Abraham and Moses, then I would have to say that I can't accept that as a Muslim. I cannot accept that body of work if it does not bear witness to their teachings. Because as a Muslim, I am taught to accept their teachings. And if it contradicts their teachings, if it contradicts the teachings of Jesus of 2,000 years ago, if it contradicts the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon all of them, then I cannot say accept it. I can look into it to see if you are giving me a different point of view of their teachings, but if it contradicts it and it does not bear witness to their teaching, then I would have to say that is not something I would hold dear to me. So now, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan gave to us a few years ago, he read just some passages out of the Babylonian Talmud. And in it, it referred to whom we call Jesus of 2,000 years ago. It described him as boiling in hot excrement, feces. Okay. And if that is how you view that man and if that's how you view he should be treated, and we're talking a man of 2,000 years ago from the teachings that we have, what we call Jesus, if you think that Jesus should be boiled in hot excrement and hot feces, if you think that he should be tormented, we do not share the same point of view of his teaching. Because it is a teaching that gives life if you allow it to and you understand it and unpack it properly. And so what I noticed was that, and I'll go back again and watch it because I want to really, really dig into it and study it a lot. But I do not recall Rabbi Cooper, Rabbi Cooper actually quoting the Torah. And I could be wrong. I just don't remember that happening. Now, where am I going with this? If in fact it appeared from that interview that the whole point of view and the whole purpose and the aim of him being interviewed was so that he could tell all of those who have the ear of our brother Nick Cannon that Farrakhan and his rhetoric is the reason for this all. That was basically how he came out the gate with it. And it's such a cowardly move, man. It really is. It's such a cowardly move to say that. And even Nick Cannon alluded to it. He said, he would like to see the two of them get together. Why can't you sit down together and dialogue? The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, for those who do not know, has offered that and invited that, put that invitation out for years on many occasions. it has even been offered to the point that it can be done unscripted and live for the world to see, or it could be in secret, behind closed doors. Not, I shouldn't say in secret, but not open to the public. Let me say that. But it has not happened. No representative from who claims to represent the larger Jewish community has said, yes, I'll come on behalf of everyone. Now, the minister has met with many rabbis in his home, invited them. Some have even gone public and have said that he is nowhere near an anti-Semite. Some have actually said that he is the manifestation of the one who was to come and set the world back into a right state. Now, these are coming from those who claim to be Jewish. And you can see, we can, and anybody who's listening, if you want to go in and add the links, some of them, I know there's some photographs and things like that. You certainly welcome to put that up. But you can show that, okay? And post it so everyone can see. And I know there's some pictures out there. I've seen them. I've even posted them at some time myself. Now, so here's my point that I'm making. In that interview, there were some things that were put out, that were asserted, that were directed to Nick Cannon. And some of it, I took it as a way of that selling him that the rabbi was basically saying, hey, man, back off. You don't understand. You don't get it. You don't understand. And I took offense to how he was actually handling our brother. In fact, at the very, very beginning of the interview, I looked at his body language and I didn't like that. The way that he was sitting came off to me very arrogantly. And if you want, you go back and watch that. And just the beginning, while Nick is doing his intro, I'm looking at it and I didn't care for that. Now, I didn't want to judge it before he opened his mouth, but his body language and some of the first words that came out of his mouth, for me, Chef Brandon, matched up like hand in hand. It's like this, it came off as very arrogant. And so in that, and there were, oh God, man, that interview is, I mean, it really has to be unpacked. We have some invited guests that's coming on and later on this week. And I just want you all to just, keep tuning in, because this thing, man, to really unpack it, to really look. And if you missed Brother Minister Ishmael Muhammad's lecture this past Sunday at NOI.org, go back and watch that lecture. I mean, man, look, go back and watch that lecture. He was hitting so much. I mean, it was, I'm walking through my house watching it on my phone. I know I was loud because I was bearing witness so loud. It was just so much. It touched my spirit so well because of how he was getting the point across, getting the truth across. Man, it was such a beautiful lecture. So if anybody's watching him, I don't expect Brother Ishmael to be watching because I know he's working. But if by chance he happens to see it, or if any of you happen to see him or communicate with him, just tell him his little brother, Brother Chef Brandon, thoroughly enjoyed that lecture this past Sunday. And I've enjoyed many of them, believe me, not just that one, but that particular one, based off of the study I was doing, trying to prepare myself for these 5 days. Man, it was just, I loved it. It just really agreed with my spirit. So go back and watch that, man. Listen, just go back and watch it. But one of the things that was said, that the rabbi said to Nick Cannon, was he wanted to point out to him that he was, he didn't like the talk of victimization, is kind of how he put it. That he didn't like that, this talk of, man, we the victims and so forth. And so what this was, as Brother Nick was talking about our struggle in America as black people and how it mirrors and looks like our struggle as black people in Haiti, in Honduras, in South Africa. How it's like, man, we looking the same over in the UK. Like, yo, this is happening to all of us everywhere. And so it was factual statements of historic events, things that were taking place, like the how do you tell somebody who turns on the television and see, or you go on social media and you see another black man or black woman killed by police? There was I never forget, years ago, I was at a Public Enemy concert. Love PE, love them, always have from day one. But I was at a Public Enemy concert, and Flavor Flav got on the microphone, and he said, I just want to say to everybody in there, he said, all police ain't bad. He's like, you hear me? All police ain't bad. And the crowd kind of got quiet because this is a Public Enemy crowd, right? And so he says, but all them ain't good either. And, that was a sigh of relief for all of us. And we laughed because it was certainly characteristic of Flavor Flav. But it was also because it was the truth. No, all police officers aren't bad. I got some family members that are police officers, and I know they're not involved in that activity. We talk about this stuff. I have some close friends, and we talk about it, and they're not involved in the activity, but they do see it. And some of them are identified as troublemakers in their police department because they speak up on our behalf. But the fact is that what Brother Nick Cannon was saying was that, man, every time I look up, it's another one of us being killed. It's another one of us being beat, arrested. Now it's beyond the arrest. It's like you're just straight getting killed. It's like, like I think now some of us will probably say, whoo, man, just arrest me. Like, it's kind of like that's the relief. That's the sigh of relief, getting arrested and not killed. Black mothers are now telling their sons, be quiet, don't say nothing, don't do this, don't do that, because you don't want, the police to kill them. And all it reminds me of is like watching movies like Roots and, the statement of, now don't you try Mr. Charlie, okay? You going out there, you be good. Don't you try Master Charlie. Don't upset him. This is a mother telling her son, in other words, I don't care if he takes your manhood, just don't upset him because I don't want you to die. And that's understandable. It really is. But black men, fathers, man, you better stand up. I'm not saying, man, throw your sons out in front of bullets. But damn, man, I am saying teach them manhood. There's a difference between humble and being a punk, just a straight punk. And you all have to, forgive some of my language. It's my spirit. And, I have a certain type of spirit when it comes to loving my people and being treated fairly. And when I say my people, I'm not only referring to black people. It's funny, I just had this conversation with my wife earlier. I said, there's a sister we know who's Filipino. And I said she would probably really trip out if she knew how much about the Filipino culture that I know about. And that's because of my upbringing, some of my very close friends, man, growing up. And it was, man, it's all, when I say all love, how people say, man, it's all love. No, for real, it's all love. Man, I can go to their home and feel so in place as a Muslim, a black man in America that stands up and fights for the lives of black people. I feel so in place and a part of that home. And you would be surprised at how many of those who are considered not black will back it. You would really be surprised. But my point is that in that, when I stand up to fight for my people, and I look at it, that harsh reality of looking at this it's like every day, man. I'm to the point to where it's almost like, yo, don't inbox me no more video about somebody getting shot. Don't inbox me, tag me, and it's like, man, I'm when you're in a family, you have a family inside the home. Everybody has a role, especially if you're a large family. If you're not a large family, but everybody has a role to play. So big sister might be the one that's in charge when mom and daddy gone. Well, whatever she say go, because she's speaking on their behalf. And if she tell little brother, you go take the trash out and clean the bathroom, that's his job. And when mom and daddy come home and they see that the living room ain't clean because she told little sister to clean the living room and little sister gave her the neck roll like, you ain't my mama, you ain't gonna talk to me like that, and decide she not gonna do it, then mom and daddy probably gonna whoop little sister. Little brother not gonna get in trouble because he cleaned the bathroom. He did his job. It's a dirty job, but somebody gotta do it. Well, when I think about us out on the streets and we see these interactions, these negative interactions with law enforcement, somebody gotta record it. I get it, I guess. But damn, man, somebody got to help. Somebody got to jump in. Somebody got to fight. Like, damn, you really gonna sit there and watch that? Do you really think you getting kudos and, attaboys and attagirls and pats on the backs and hugs and kisses because you sat there and recorded somebody get killed? Like, man, please don't record me then. If you're not gonna help me, man, just leave, because that's the same as nobody even knowing. And some people will take a stance and say, well, at least we know, we need to know what happened. It ought to be very, very clear right now to you that I don't care what I don't care what the police reports say. Black man killed in police custody or died in police custody. Their history, it's like a credit report. Their FICO score right now is so low. Like, you ought to know. Ray, how you doing, man? Love you. I want to talk to you too. Former student of mine, man. I want to talk to you. He's out there in the rough streets of Chicago, and he's a perfect example. And he knows exactly what I'm talking about. As a young high school student, man, he has the spirit that I'm talking about right now. He wasn't one of those sit back and videotape and watch somebody that he loved get manhandled and abused by anybody else. That ain't his spirit, and I loved him for that. Still love him for it, because that's still how he is. He used to get in some trouble, but his spirit, he wasn't that. His little brother. Hey, Greedy, give Greedy my love too, man. They don't come from that type of home. Their mother's not like that, and which is why they're not like that. But it goes back to what you were taught in the home. It goes back to that manhood training. It goes back to what you're telling your sons and your daughters, that when they go out, they do have a right to live, man. They have a right to live. They do not have to be violated. They do not have to accept violation. They have the right to not accept that, just as you do. And when you understand that you're standing on truth, and you understand that you might be outnumbered, you might be overpowered, you might be, hey, listen, that is the case for many. But it was also the case when David slew Goliath. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said that he slew Goliath with one stone, one pebble, as some call it. They say a smooth pebble. And he was asked by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, brother, do you know what that was? And he asked him, what was it? He said, faith. And faith mean, you ain't got to see it happening, man, but just know it's going to happen. It might happen, it might not, but just go on in there. If you've ever had a physical fight with somebody, and if you just thought that you could just take them and you didn't care, you was either arrogant or faithful, one of the two. Well, a lot of times we dealing with law enforcement, they not functioning on faith. They function out of straight arrogance. They functioning out of a mindset that, basically, when they say, step out of the car, what did I do? And then now they get a little bit more. I said, step out of the car, and then they start grabbing your door handle. If it ever happened to you, because it has happened to me, and I don't care what city or state you in, especially if you feel the way I feel about certain things, you tell them, hold on, don't go grabbing on my car. Don't do this. They start talking to you in a sense, basically saying, nigga, I said, get out. I don't care what you think. I don't care if I am wrong. I said, get out. And now, mind you, the ADL has taken credit for training many of those in law enforcement, according to their website. If I read it correctly, then that's what it said. But it happens in Chicago, it happens in Compton, it happens in Los Angeles, it happens in New York, it happens in Houston, it happens in Dallas, it happens in Minneapolis, it happens in Detroit, happens in little old bitty Grambling, Louisiana. This ain't even no big city. Shout out to my grand fam, love y'all. Happens to did my sound go out? Is it all the way out? Can you hear me now? Let me know if the sound is back, please. How about now, Brother Malik? Are you able to hear? Okay. If you can't hear me, just let me know and I'll go back. But my point is that if you're seeing similar behavior, then that means the training is similar. And so, it's like a child. When you look at a child and, they're in the third, fourth grade and they're at school and they acting up, and then you look and say, well, their sister in the sixth grade, she act the same way. Oh, yeah, well, they got a brother in college, he act the same way. There's a time where you stop blaming the child, and now you got to go to the parents and say, who trained you? Who brought you up? Who taught you that you can behave that way and it's acceptable? See, now you got to go back to who's responsible for training these people, who's responsible for that, and then you will find out why you're being treated a certain way. And if they are responsible for that, and they are, whoever is training them, they are responsible for that. Now you have to go and look at the responsible party and say, what is your motive? Why would you do that? Why are you presenting yourself in this manner, but you're telling these people to treat me in this manner, which is totally opposite from what's coming out of your mouth? That's called a liar. That's just called a liar. I heard the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan say once, he said that devil is not necessarily Satan. He said that Satan is the spreader of evil. And Satan can spread evil using devils. Follow me. Satan got devils working for him. Just like the God got angels working for him. You don't call the angels God, Jehovah, Allah. That's not what you call the angels. You call them angels. So I have to call a devil if you are functioning on behalf of Satan. And if your activity is that is satanic, then I got to call it out and say what it is. How do I know? I look at how you treat me. I look at your behavior. That old saying, treat me how you want to be treated. And I tell people all the time, I don't want everybody to treat me the way that they like to be treated. Why? Because I don't like the way some of you like to be treated. I don't like the way you like to be treated. Some of you, not all of you, but some of you like, don't handle me like that. I'm not that good. I used to laugh at Steve Harvey when he said, I ain't that good a Christian. But I ain't that good a Muslim, man. Just don't handle me a certain way, all the time. I know how to be diplomatic. I'm well trained. I can be very diplomatic. But I also know the diplomacy of the streets. There is, you got a time frame. You got a time limit. All right. So now we get back into this unpacking. If, in fact, Rabbi Cooper did not want to hear the history of what he considered to be the victimization, kind of like, I don't want to hear this victim sob story again. That's how I took it. Was like, I'm tired. I don't want to keep hearing this victim stuff. So the first thing that came to my mind in that interview, and again, this is different between Brother Nick Cannon and some of the rest of us. And brother admitted that he is studying. He's learning some things. Some of the things that he's learning, some of us have known for years already. And it don't make us better, but he has a platform that we don't have. So I support his platform because I see what he's doing. He's really trying to help us. But my first response or first thought was, well, hell, I don't want to hear about the Holocaust no more. If you don't want to hear about black suffering, I don't want to hear about the Holocaust no more. So that's my spirit. That's my mindset. If we don't have the right to sit up, or you don't want to hear us to discuss how we've been victimized. If you don't want to hear the history of our victimization and you don't like what we're saying, then I don't want to hear nothing about your victimization of the Holocaust, man. And we can walk away from each other and it's like, deal? All right, cool. If we're going to sit at the table and talk this out, well, then if I got to go into what's giving me pain, then let me do that, because you want to go into what's giving you pain, which was the reason why they were sitting at the table in the first place. He cried victim. He cried anti-Semitism. He cried pain. You hurt us with that. And Nick Cannon says, I want to apologize to those who I really hurt, my close friends. Well, if he's functioning out of pain, why the hell can't we function out of pain? Why can't we speak to our pain? Why is it that how do you become, the supreme holder of pain and how it's used to benefit yourself? Man, if that was painful for you to lose all of your ancestry or to go through that like you did, and it is a painful thing when you think about human suffering and human life. And I'm a chef, and let me tell you, no matter how much cooking I do in these almost 30 years I've been cooking, I don't care right now today. Some hot grease pop out the pan and land on my arm, I still say ouch, like it still hurts. So suffering is suffering. I can't even imagine somebody being put into an oven, like whole body a lot. I'm not even trying to imagine that, but I do know, hell, it hurts to get popped with hot grease. I burned myself in the oven early on my arm, reaching into the oven to pull out some of Chef Brandon's buttermilk bean pies, by the way. I burned my arm pulling them out of the oven, okay? But that hurts your whole body. Man, I don't like being in the bed and it's too hot in the house, okay? So you're dealing with human suffering. Man, I can understand, that you hurt. I may not understand your pain, but I can understand that you are in pain. And I can understand that even some of your responses to me might be because you're in pain. But don't take the stance with us. And I'm saying this to everybody that yells out, they tired of hearing, the stories. Some people ain't never heard the stories, believe it or not. Some of them have to hear it. Everybody, if you're in the first grade and they're in the 12th grade, 12th graders don't want to hear 1 + 1 again. I got that. But somebody in the 12th grade, 10th, 9th, 8th, 7th, whatever, may have to teach them. So somebody still got to teach them because they just coming into the knowledge. So don't take the stance that it shouldn't be said again. It has to be said to those who don't know and have to be given the understanding. But what we cannot do is that we repeat it over and over and don't do anything with the information. Knowledge is what you know. Knowledge is what you have learned. Wisdom is the proper application to use what you know to get that which you desire and plan out for yourself. Well, we can look at the Simon Wiesenthal Museum. We can look at the Museum of Tolerance. And if you've never been to the Museum of Tolerance out there in Los Angeles, it is something to see. It's just kind of looking at it as a human being, you're looking at some of these things and you're listening to the stories, and it's like, wow, like, man, dude did that to them. You just kind of, you feel whatever you feel. And I've seen people in there crying, but the thing is, you actually have something on film to show. You have something to show. We only can put it into words. We can only tell a story. We don't have the footage like that. And the fact that you have the footage says a lot. How did you get it? Where did it come from? How were you to obtain it? Who held on to it? To me, these are questions I have to ask when it comes to authenticity, not denying the authenticity of any historical photos or documentation that the Jewish people may come with to show that there was a Jewish Holocaust. But where did you get it from? And so some of these people who were children are still alive. And I understand there's very, very few. Of course, you get older, and you return back to the essence. But we don't have that luxury. We don't have that. And so when it comes to writings, the only thing that many of us can do is share old books like Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, the ISIS papers. I'm going to tell you, go get it. I need to pin that statement. The ISIS papers. Anybody, if anybody types that in while watching the ISIS papers, I'll pin it. Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. I remember getting that book from a bookstore called Black to the Basics when I was a freshman at college in Grambling State University. Well, Exelon Sister P, how you doing? But that book, man, opened me up. Man, the information our sister put in there, may Allah be pleased with her. But it was something so deep to me. Some things she pointed out I'd never heard of. And I'm telling you, go get that book by Dr. Francis Cress Welsing called The ISIS Papers. If somebody just please type that in, I'll pin the statement with her name, the author's name, and the book. Because if you don't have it, it's something you got to get. I don't have mine here. Yep, don't have it here. But it was the book. I purchased it my freshman year in college and blew my mind, okay? That was one of the books. The other book was called Behold the Pale Horse. Just blew my mind, man. You know, I know a lot of times we like these lives. We like to watch things. We like to get ebooks and all of that. But what I'm saying is what you should do is go and buy these books. Go get the book itself. And then what you'll see is that there's a time to where it's ISIS. Thank you. All right. The ISIS papers. Okay, you all see that. Yes, that's the book right there. But all I'm saying is order the books. You know, the digital books, the ebooks, and all of that is cool. But there's going to be a time, at some point in time, we have been taught by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad that this government will shut down at some point in time because unless it rights its wrongs. And in the event, communication, electricity, water, power, these things can go out at any time. You will benefit by having, the actual literary documentation in hand. While ebooks are good, there may become a time where you can't charge your devices and you won't be able to read them. DVDs are good, but if you can get it in the book, do that. If you can transcribe some of the DVDs, do that. Of these different lectures and these scientists and, of this information, but you got to have something to read. These three here, there are three volumes of The Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews. It comes from the research department of the Nation of Islam. And you can go to Final Call, store.finalcall.com, store.finalcall.com. If we could put that up for me, please, baby, and we'll post that. You all will see Mecca Muhammad. That's my daughter, one of them. And so I'll have her post some of the things there, and I'll pin it for you so you can go back and look at it. Thank you kindly. Go to store.finalcall.com and you can order these books. But there are 3 volumes of it, right? And look, this ain't no little bitty light reads, right? Our brother Nick Cannon has these books. Our brother Nick Cannon has read these books. Let me back up. He has began researching these books, okay? And so what was it that, got them so upset? Part of it was revealing some of the information in these books. And the beautiful thing about these books, some of the most beautiful work that the research department from the Nation of Islam did with these books, and you can look at it, they quoted Jewish scholars in their work. The brothers and sisters on the research team did not have to go and write lectures and teach lectures, though they can. Don't get me wrong, because it's something. You forgive I told you sometimes I got to forgive my language, but they cold with it, man. Listen, when I tell you this research team, the Nation of Islam, some of the information off, man. Listen, you would be surprised at some of the stuff you all are seeing on social media right now. That you see it and you like, did y'all see this? And you sharing? Most of that stuff you can get right out of these books. All right. Some of the things that you'll learn from these books were that there were Jewish slave owners and traders who owned plantations, not only in America, but also in the Caribbean as well. And to know that has to be painful for some people. Some of the plantations, what would happen for those that don't know, when you got on a plantation, sometimes the slave master would, whatever your name was, they would take your name and give you their surname or their last name. I don't know Rabbi Abraham Cooper's lineage, right? But I do know some black people with the last name Cooper. That I do know. We had a brother, well, I can say it because he said it publicly before. I did the National Prison Reform Minister, Brother Abdullah Muhammad, before he was given the name Abdullah Muhammad, he was in Los Angeles years ago, and I was holding post on him, and it was just so funny. But he was talking about how when he first came into Islam, and he said when he I'm trying to tag him because he's man, just a beautiful brother. But in any case, what he said was that before he was Abdullah Muhammad, his birth name, he said, I was Rodney Bernstein. And we just all started laughing. And, he said, I was crazy. He said, I was out of my mind because he thought his name was really Bernstein. Well, ain't no secret that the name Bernstein, when you hear Bernstein, if you know anything about the origins of names, one of the first groups of people on the planet you would think of would be Jewish people based off of the name. And so a man, and when you see him, he's not light in complexion. He's dark. Beautiful spirit, man. I love just sharing brotherhood with him. And he shares a spirit of, correction like I do. I'll say some things, and sometimes you all don't know. I'll post some things here on Facebook, and he'll reach out to me and let me know if he's not in agreement with it or or his take on it. And he just does it in such a way, to where I come out of my own emotional, mind at that time, and I look into what he's saying. And I got to give a shout out to the Final Call editor, Brother Nabab Muhammad, formerly known as Brother Richard Muhammad, because he does the very same thing. This is how I know those are my brothers and they love me, because they'll see me put something out there and I'll ask them, man, do you think I kind of went too far? Brother Nabab, brother, I love you, brother. He just handles me like a brother, man. And he don't yell. He don't go off at me or anything. If he's in disagreement, he'll just say, yeah, I think you should reword that, or I think you should do, and I love it because I ask them because I know they're not coming from a spirit of negativity. I've had too many conversations with them and talked to them just on the personal level about too many things in my own personal life that I know these brothers don't mean me no harm. So I can talk to them. And so I use them for that. Everybody has somebody like that, I know. And they're just two of them. There are others. Brother Melvin Muhammad, another one, in Orlando, Florida right now. But getting back to the point, the information that's in these books here, It shows some different names of the Jewish scholars, of those of the business owners, those who were financing plantations, those who bought the land, those who had slave masters who said, I need money for my slaves, I need this. They were financing them. Okay. There's no secret, but this is documentation from Jewish scholars. All right. Get into it, get the books, and read it. You'll see exactly what I mean. Get the books. I remember I watching an old, I was not long as watching an old video clip of our brother Dr. Khalid Muhammad, may Allah be pleased with all of the good works that he did. He was on Donahue and being interviewed, and he had a copy of Volume 1, The Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews. And someone had asked, well, what is the name of that book? And they said it. They had to yell it out. But Donahue and that station, they would not dare advertise it. In fact, there are those who are members of the Jewish community and some in leadership who went to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam, and they said that they rejected this book, that it was anti-Semitic, that it was full of bigotry, it was full of hatred. And so they said, they wanted the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan to denounce this book, these books, The Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews. Now, the minister is very, very wise, believe me. And you'll see in some of the wisdom and what I'm getting ready to tell you, the story he shared with some of us. What he said was that I will go and denounce the book. I will go publicly and denounce these books if you go and denounce the Jewish scholars that we quoted, because we did not make this information up. We quoted them. This is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan speaking to them. They have yet to denounce their scholars. Okay? So the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan will not denounce the book, because if they agree that it is truth and they don't denounce the truth, then we can stand with it. Then we're not at odds. We don't have an argument here. We believe it's true. You won't say it's a lie. This is from your own people. We rolling with it. All right. But what in fact they wanted him to do was, in that they wanted him, by denouncing that, they want him to denounce the research team and the brilliance of those believers. See, they want him to denounce his father, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and the spirit in which he has given many of us to go and research. This is what they want. They want him to denounce God and claim them as his God. They even offered him, before he has said this publicly, that we can, if you go back and you go publicly, denounce this book, apologize to us, man, we can be your friend, and we'll watch you for a little bit to make sure that you're doing everything that you should, for our friendship. And, it was kind of like, if you watch The Godfather, there was a man who came to The Godfather, and he said, listen, you come into my home on my daughter's wedding day, because of the Sicilian custom that, the father can't, deny meeting with people or request on his daughter's wedding day. So they want to meet with Don Corleone. And he says, and you come in here, he says, I'm godfather to your only child, or my wife is godmother to your only child. And you've never invited me to your home to sit down for a cup of coffee. Even for a cup of coffee, you ain't never called me. You ain't never tried to be my brother. You ain't never tried to be my friend. And now you come into my home, and because you understand that I'm going to adhere to a tradition, to a policy, that I'm that kind of man that's going to honor our tradition and not deny a request and meet with you, this is what you use to come? You really don't want a relationship with me. So Don Corleone says to him, He says, you don't even seek my friendship. He said, and I understand you don't want to get wrapped up with a man of my sorts. I got it. You came to America. You wanted the American dream. I got it. But when that didn't work for you, see, when that didn't work for you, then what? Now you want to come to me and you want what you call justice? You want me to kill some men that raped your daughter? And he said, you want me to do murder for you? He said, that's not justice because your daughter is still alive. See, some of us are like that. And that's how they were coming to the Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan. Like, man, we'll be your friend. We'll be your friend if you do this for us. We'll promote you and we'll show that you good. We'll make your name good again. And you just roll with us, do what we say. We watch you. Don't say nothing out of line. Don't say nothing anti-Semitic, this, that, and the other. And we're going to unpack the word anti-Semitic and anti-Semite too. Not tonight, but in the following days. So basically, while we would say, as they tried to punk him, right? And, there's another term for it, but I'm not going to use it. I'm working on my language, better my language. But in other words, they tried to make him bow down and cower down to satanic thinking, satanic behavior, and satanic rule. Well, you're going to try to... There was a story in the Bible to where, Jesus said, get thee behind me, Satan. Man, go on somewhere with that. Miss me with that. Stop that. That's too elementary. Like, I can't believe you even tried that one on me. Hey, man, we're not going to do nothing to you. Just bring all your money and meet me in the alley. We just want to talk. Like, come on, man, stop it. That's how you trying to play this, man? This is the man that called for 1 million black men to meet up in Washington, D.C. on the mall of the capital of this country to say to each other and take an oath in front of the whole world that we've been wrong. We haven't been the type of men that we should be. We apologize first to ourselves. We apologize to our God. We apologize to our families, to one another, and we want to stand up and be men. He just went and said, I want to take 1 million men. And nearly 2 million showed up to come, black men, right? And I tell people all the time, because you see them on social media, these trolls. Oh, man, he ain't this. See, Farrakhan, he got it all wrong. He ain't right. See, man, he did this. Man, y'all killed Malcolm. They'll say some of the most idiotic things, okay? And I'll ask them every time is that this man right now, okay, 87 years old, and you trying to tell me with your 27-year-old self and your 27 years of life that you got something figured out about life that he ain't got figured out? I mean, how stupid, man, can you be? I swear, it's kind of like, my nephew want to say to me, come on, let's get in the kitchen. I bet you I can make this better than you. Like, bro, this is what I do. What are you talking about? I love your energy. I love that you want to do it. Well, like Salam, Sir DJ Earth, how you feeling? Good to see you. But it's like, yo, like, you really think that you gonna come before this man and you think you got something that he don't? You think you can guide and teach him? You think he been wrong? And I use the Million Man March, and I tell him real fast, quick, and in a heartbeat. This man called 1 million to Washington, D.C. I don't care if it was 100,000 that showed up. Let's just say all that was a lie. Oh, it was only 100,000. Let me see you take a jar of honey and sit it outside and see if you could draw 100,000 ants to it. You can't even do that, man. I mean, it's like, for real, stop it. You are not who you want to believe you are, who you want other people to believe you are. You just got bad understanding. But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that after all else fails, then comes Islam, right? And so what that means is that after the American dream has failed you, it's a nightmare. After Dr. King's dream has failed you and failed him, to where he even came back himself and said that he realized it wasn't a dream, but it was a nightmare. trying to integrate us, integrate his people into a burning house, meaning the U.S. government is on fire, is burning down, this house is going to collapse, and I'm trying to get my people in there. That's a nightmare. That's not a dream. So when you realize that after everything else you didn't try, man, ain't no good, it's not happening, it's done, then Islam comes. And that doesn't mean that now you walking around in a suit and bow tie, you walking around in a headpiece. And Islam means total submission to the will of God, which brings you peace. If you ain't got no kind of peace in your life, and you need some Islam. That's just all it is. So if I say to you, you come and you telling me your life is just so bad, oh, everything is so rough, it's just you need some Islam. In other words, you need some peace in your life, all right? And how you go about getting that, I can tell you what I do, and I can show you that and offer that to you. But I would tell you really quick. One of the first thing you do is grab this book right here. This was the same book that our brother Nipsey Hussle shared with our brother T.I. and said, like, hey, man, you need to read this. You need to really check this out. Because it opened some things up for him, and he was like, yo, man, I'm seeing some things that I ain't seen before. Why? Because the guidance that's in here is beyond anything you're going to get in this world. It will give you some peace of mind, believe me. But it's called The Message to the Black Man in America by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Again, click that, store.finalcall.com. You can order that book on there as well. But you need some Islam in your life if you ain't got no peace. All right, now tomorrow, we're going to deal with the fast some more, and I'm gonna go into it again tonight. That's right, Sister P, Sister Pamela. We must have peace to survive, and if not, the opposite of peace is chaos. Some of us like living chaotically, but everything gets old at some point in time. It's like, yo, that gets old, when you were young, you might have liked to do all of these different things. Once you become older, you get grown children. You become a grandparent. I'm not, thank Allah. I hope not. I hope I ain't a grandparent. None of my children ain't told me. But when you get older, there's certain things that you used to do when you were younger. It's just old. You're like, I don't do that no more. It gets played. And so chaos for some of us is just played, man. But tomorrow, we'll go into this fast some more. We got a special guest on tomorrow. And right now, our brother is on day 19 of a fast, okay? And we're not saying, to go and do this and just, fast like that. He's on a journey. And brother and I met a few years ago. It was through another brother, through a brother Clarence Muhammad out of Selma, Alabama. Brother was heading up a Nation of Islam study group there. Beautiful brother, beautiful spirit. And I love talking to these two, but I like when the three of us together, I love talking to them, even on the phone. So the brother will be coming on tomorrow, and he will be going into that fast and what it has done for him, and even what he's unpacked from this interview, right? And so this campaign of the anti-Semitic remarks about saying that Diddy is anti-Semitic, that's just too funny to me. Like, I'm sorry. And it ain't no disrespect to Diddy at all, but it's like, man, like, seriously? Like, anti-Semitic? Like, come on, man, stop it. It's like, it's the old, it's the old, hey, man, you eating a ham sandwich? Ha, 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 ha. Like, that is old already. Well, y'all stop playing that card already. Stop it. The punchline, it's not funny anymore. It don't get us stirred up no more. You said Diddy. It said Deshaun Jackson. It said Nick Cannon, Russell Simmons. God, who are some of these other people? Oh man, I even God. Who else was it? Who else am I missing? Come on. Oh man, they even went Madonna. It was like Madonna. I'm sorry, but this stuff is just funny to me after a certain point. Like, man, please stop. Okay, you serious? But this is funny to me. And at what point in time are you? It's the okie dog. It's exactly what it is. It's like, come on, man, stop. So all of these different Ice Cube, like, man. And what it was that each one of these people that this hurled anti-Semitic campaign has been pushed at, all have shown support for the words spoken by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. They didn't go and say, he said that the Jews were slave masters and owned plantations. It's the truth. But that's not what these people are repeating. And if they did, it would still be the truth. But it's just the fact that they said Farrakhan. That's all it is. Oprah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I said Oprah's anti-Semitic. Like, come on, man. This is stuff, I'm telling you, it's so way out, guys. All right. But in order to find some kind of peace in all of that chaos that they're hurling, we're fasting, right? So we're going into this 5-day fast, this hands off our friends, hands off of our families, hands off of Farrakhan. You're not going to keep putting your digital hands on them without some clapback, right? This is that time, man, and believe me, see, now I know with some of these social media platforms, check this out. If they're not shutting you down, then you really ain't did nothing, and I'm not saying I want to get shut down. I really want to get these 5 days out of the guest on there. But if they did, it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't. But we do have other platforms, and those, you will be very surprised at some of the platforms that are coming out, independent platforms for social media, and some of these other things, man, that our people have in place. Let me tell you, I've been saying this for so long, and I make it funny, but I'm really serious when I say it. Quarantine been good to me. Quarantine been good to me. The ideas are just flowing like water. And if you are not taking advantage of this time that we're in, taking advantage of the situation to do better than yourself, you're gonna get left out. You're gonna be running behind a truck, that's packed full of people that's on their way to freedom, and you may not make it. So we're fasting, and so we're encouraging everyone to fast. For those that know, those who already know about me, I eat every 3 days. That's something that I started eating every 3 days. Had to have been August of 2000, and let me think, y'all. August of 2014, I began eating every 3 days. Okay. September 2014. I remember now. September 2014, I began eating every 3 days. Okay. Prior to that, I was eating every other day. And so that is part of our teaching, only part of the teaching of this book called How to Eat to Live. All right. How to Eat to Live by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. store.finalcall.com. You can order this book as well. There are two. There's book 1 and book 2, okay? But in this book, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that some of the better things to do for our health is, for one, stop with this teaching of eating all day long. Stop with this believing that you have to eat 3 meals a day. That excellent for memory. God, you're not lying, Brother Ron. Thank you. Good to see you too, brother. But he said, you don't have to do this, eat 3 meals a day. Your body don't even function well like that. He said, just go eat 1 meal a day, because your body doesn't function well off 3 meals a day. And you shorten your lifespan. Eating 1 meal a day will start to cure some of the ailments that's in your body. In fact, what he said about fasting, and I'm going to read it to you, just straight up out the book. Well, I don't have to read it because I can quote it. Basically, what he said was that fasting will cure many of our ills, all right? 95% of our ills. So there's some things, there's some health issues that we have. Fasting will cure them. Fasting will get rid of them. Why don't you know that? Because it's not taught to us. Mostly because it's not taught to us in school, which is where we learn about the food pyramid and all these different things. But it was from that book that I first began eating 1 meal a day. I began my 1 meal a day in 1992. Okay, I was in college, and so from that, I teeter-tottered with that. We get up to December 2008, and I said, you know what? I'm not eating every day no more. So December 2008, I started eating every other day. By the time September of 2017, I was eating every 3 days, and I've never looked back. So what I will do is, basically what that means is that I can eat on Monday, for example. Well, today's Wednesday. But let's say I eat Wednesday. That means I don't eat Thursday. I don't eat Friday. I won't eat again until Saturday. Okay. That's how the every 3 days work. Not asking everybody to do that. What we are saying, though, for these 5 days, for those who can handle it medically, if you can handle it, for those who have the spirit, for those who want to dig deeper into what we're dealing with, this whole anti-Semitic rhetoric and cry, this hands-off campaign, we're building up and girding up our loins. We're building up our defense mechanism physically, but also mentally and spiritually, to fight back with those who start fights with us, our friends, our family, and Farrakhan. No, we have a saying in the mosque, and the first time I actually heard it was at Grandmaster Urban Show Muhammad's dojo back in Long Beach. I want to say that was probably 1991 when I first heard it. But he said, we fight like hell with those who fight with us. We're never to be the aggressor. We don't aggress upon you, but we will fight like hell with those who fight with us. So you come and you starting a fight now. And I'm not talking to, Satan, because that ain't my fight. There is a man that that's been built and trained to fight Satan. All right. I'm talking to the little low-level devils that want to keep spreading Satan's lies about our friends, our family, and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and the truth that is being taught and spoken out of these books. Okay? And then some. So we're beginning. Tonight will be your last meal. So we'll eat tonight. Try to prepare yourself. I encourage those who can eat navy beans. Even the lentil can be good, but there's something about that navy bean. And that, the energy you get from it. But we're going to start that tonight. So eat your last meal tonight. We will not be eating Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. I apologize. Let me go back. Sunday night is when you will break your fast. Okay. Uh, and so during that time, it's not what some call a dry fast, but for those who can handle it. Now, for me, when the days I don't eat, I'll drink some coffee. I might, get up in the morning and drink some coffee. Occasionally, I'll have 2 cups, but for the most part, on days I don't eat, I don't drink 2 cups of coffee. I don't need it. And I even limit my water intake as well because I really don't need it. It just send you to the bathroom. You just be urinating all day. But I may drink some iced tea. Okay. For those who can fast like that, that's what we're doing. So you eat your meal tonight. The next after that, all the way up until Sunday night, we won't be eating anything. You're drinking some little coffee with a little bit of cream and sugar if that's how you take it. And we're also going to be studying. We're going to be praying. Take up the time and the opportunity to just meditate. I don't care if it's yoga. It is a form, prayer is a form of meditation. So take advantage of it and just calm yourself. It's that peace that we were talking about, Sister P. It's that peace that we want. You need some Islam in your life. And your day is just getting chaotic. You need some peace. All right. So you take advantage of that time. There was a brother I used to love when he would do it, as a Christian brother that he was one of my roommates in college. And every day he did this for the whole school year. He read the book of Proverbs every day because there are 30 chapters. And so he would use that to read 1 chapter a day. And I used to love that because there was wisdom in that, and we would discuss it and talk about it. And it was a beautiful thing. After he go to 30, he'd go back to 1 and start over again, along with his other studies. My point is, you find something that is good for you, that will help you get some peace. And also, if you do not have them, go into these books here. This book here, Message to the Black Man in America, Your How to Eat to Live, right? Books 1 and 2 by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Your Holy Quran, we got several of them. Your Bibles, we have tapes, the Theology of Time lecture series of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Don't forget the Time and What Must Be Done lecture series by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Those are all on YouTube, by the way. Oh my God. Go into that number 51, 52, 53. Go into it and you'll begin to understand some things. You'll see some things a lot better. So we will be fasting. Take it easy. All right. Some of us who are used to this, we can still go and do some physical workout and all of that and not have a problem. Some of us who are new to this, take it easy, okay? If you require medication and things like that, you need to check with your primary care physician before you do that. Also, we do have another guest that will be coming on later on in the week, and we will be going into some more things as well about during this pandemic as well. Fasting will help to can strengthen your immune system, all right? And your immune system needs to be built up during this whole coronavirus or COVID-19 pandemic, is what we're understanding. And so what we want to do is give you more information about how to build that up as well, build your immune system to fight it off. There are also some supplements we will be advertising as well that you can take. And you will be able, there's testimony from those who have taken it that can tell you the immune system. We do have there's a brother who's an attorney in Houston who did contract the coronavirus, COVID-19, who began taking these supplements. And you have to hear him tell his story about how remarkable his recovery has been. And so these are things that are available, and we want you to have it. But you also need to have your good health so you can help defend your friends, your family, and Farrakhan. Man, we here to fight, all right? And so we're never to be the aggressor, but we fight like hell with those who fight with us. And we study to keep all the hell away from us, to be full of peace in heaven. we're fasting so that we're in the right state of mind, so that we understand that when we're looking at somebody, they might be in disagreement. They may not be your enemy. They just might be in disagreement and have a different understanding. So we don't have to fight with everybody. You pick your battles. But this here, where you come at, you come at my spiritual father, and it was so elementary. I mean, the stuff, sometimes I just wish that, I'm not that dude, but man, I wish that I could have been sitting there with that rabbi, because it would have been a totally different interview. It would have been a different interview. And anybody that take that same stance as him, because you're not going to just sit up and tell a lie on him in my presence, and I don't defend him. And this is one thing, I'll say this, that the rabbi said, and I posted it, and I'm going to keep saying it and keep posting it. Rabbi Abraham Cooper said about the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, his exact words, he's one of the most honest people in America. Now, this is coming from somebody who's saying that he's anti-Semitic, he's a bigot, he hates this, he's anti-gay, anti-lesbian. But you just said that this man is one of the most honest people in America. And so in Scripture, that type of person is represented by an animal. And that animal was found in the Garden of Eden with Adam and Eve, and it was a snake. And our native family called the pale man, the white man, a snake. It says because he speaks with a forked tongue. Like, which way you going with it, man? You saying this, but you saying this. See, that was speaking with a forked tongue. You can be mad all you want to about it, but you said it. He said it, that he's one of the most honest people in America. Well, if he is, then damn it, stop saying he lying. Stop saying that what he is saying is wrong, because he didn't say he lied. Now, let me go back and correct that. They ain't never called him a liar. And we got to be, as black people, we got to get out of our emotions, man. Get out of your emotions and your love for your slave master so much that you can't accept and recognize truth when it comes in your face. Some of us just love white people so damn much that we hate to hear anything said against them. We just hate to hear it. Why can't we all just love everybody? Everybody's not meant to love. Now, let me ask you this, battered woman, old angered, in pain man who had a spouse that just mistreated you, battered you, cheated you, hurt you so bad that you said you hate and you can't stand and you don't want to be in their presence, you don't want to hear their name spoken. Why you can't just love them? Don't tell me you love them and you can't stand them. Why you can't just love them? Why can't I just be in that kind of pain for what I see happening to my people, to where I say I don't love nobody that treats me like that? And I don't love nobody that handles me like that. I don't love nobody that sits up, that talks about my spiritual father, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and you say he's one of the most honest men in America, then turn around in the same breath and say that he is lying on Jews, or that he is against the Jewish people. He's an anti-Semite. When you know in your own mind and understanding that a Semite is not only someone who claims to be a Jew. Now, you take that to the bank and tell them Beretta sent you. All right? That's old school for those who know. I'm revealing my age. But you understand what I mean by that. So tomorrow, y'all get ready. We're going to be here at the same time, Allah willing, 6 p.m. to 8:30. And look forward to unpacking this some more. Go back and check that interview out. There are also some other websites that are posting the initial interview that Nick Cannon had with Professor Griff. Griff, I love you, brother. Every time I see you and every time I talk to you, spirit is the same. Very consistent. But I'm going to, go back and find that interview and hear some of the things that was said, even to the point to where you can hear what Professor Griff said, what he was accused of have being said, and then go back and watch the interview with Rabbi Cooper and Nick Cannon, and Nick Cannon jokingly laughs and says, "Wait a minute, you broke up Public Enemy. You're the one that did that." And they laughed about it. Okay. For those of us who loved Public Enemy and they represented the voice of the black community, for many of us that didn't have a voice, we didn't love that at all. We didn't like it. We hated it. And we all, to this day, wish that we could get all of them together back on the stage and just be that group, man, that fought the power. You know, we just, God, y'all, if y'all really understand, you know, who they are and they represent to our generation, you'll begin to understand how painful that was to allow the enemy of us to come in and divide us like that. So go back and watch those. Be ready tomorrow, 6 o'clock to 7:30. I know I went over 7 minutes, but I'm getting ready to shut it down. Email us, chefbmoo@gmail.com, or you can go on the Instagram site or Twitter. They're both at Chef Bmoo. Hit me up with any questions. You can come right back on here and inbox any questions that you want to go into tomorrow, anything you want to discuss. And we'll do that. So I love y'all. Thank you all for watching. May Almighty God Allah, the one true God, soul, supreme being over all, continue to bless you, protect you, and guide you and guide us into a right state of thinking and the right spirit. And may He continue to put His protective shield around you and your family and keep you all out of harm's way. Thank you all for watching. Your brother Chef Brandon. Love y'all. See you again tomorrow. Assalamu alaikum. Peace.